If you run a real estate team or brokerage and you're trying to find a way to consistently recruit top producing agents or just producing agents in general, because sometimes your recruiting might feel a little bit slow, or it only works when you're cold calling, so when you're soliciting agents or poaching agents, or when referrals run dry. So what I'm going to be doing today, and the purpose of this video, is I'm going to show you a simple system for recruiting, producing agents on purpose every single month without you having to live on the phones every day or you having to dedicate a specific salesperson to doing cold outreach to real estate agents. Essentially, what we do is we're going to build a marketing process and a sales process behind recruiting. At the end of the day, the way that you drive more revenue as a team lead or as a broker is by recruiting agents. So that's exactly how 100% of your time should be spent. And it's kind of mind-boggling. We talk to over 300 team leads and brokers every single month, and the amount of agents, team leads, brokers that actually focus over 80% of their, even 50% of their business on recruiting is less than 5% of the people that we talk to. And it's not surprising that the 5% of people that we talk to that are crushing it are focusing on recruiting over 80% of the time, or even 50% of the time. And it's not surprising that the brokerages and teams that we talk to that don't focus on recruiting, that do cold calls, mailers, word of mouth, that focus zero on recruitment, are the agents that are currently struggling, that aren't as high producing as they want to be. Their GCI per agent isn't as high. They're not as profitable as they want to be. They have no consistency, and they're not increasing their revenue every single month. That's because they don't have a sales process behind recruiting. Again, the way that you make more money as a team and as a brokerage is by recruiting. So I'm going to show you the exact process and what we install to actually help our clients, and I'm going to give it all to you away for free right now so that you guys can copy it and actually implement it inside of your team and brokerage, have a recruiting process, make a lot of money, and crush it. My name is Carl Russo. I run a company called eState, and for the past 6 years, I've been building and running recruiting processes for team leads and brokerages across the United States of America and Canada. We've helped over 1,300 real estate professionals install systems that actually generate agent conversions and deal flow on repeat, not just when the market is hot. So said in short, I help real estate teams and brokerages recruit more agents. After we help them recruit more agents, we help get every single agent producing more deals. Effectively, here at eState, we help real estate teams and brokerages drive revenue and to have a sustainable sales process for growth so that they can hit their goals and make a lot of money. I personally talk to over 300 team leads and brokers in the US and in Canada every single month. And I see the same problem over and over again. That's why I wanted to make this video to help you out. A brokerage gets to 20, maybe 30 agents. A couple of producers might leave that brokerage. Or one or a couple of producers might stop doing business. Now, what happens in this situation is the broker is personally carrying the P&L. So the broker is going, we need to make more money. And if the broker isn't producing in real estate themselves, it's hard to make that money up because they don't have an actual recruiting process. Even worse, what typically happens, say you have 20 agents, 2 or 3 producers leave, we're essentially not making enough money to actually invest in recruiting in the first place. So now you're spiraling in this process where you're like, okay, we're not making enough money to actually solve or invest in recruiting, so let's just try and keep every single agent around. And when single 1 or 2 or 3 agents leave, you're left in a very difficult situation. So I want to be able to help with this process because with no recruiting process in place, there is literally no way that you can make more money. So I want to help with that. And if this process feels familiar, even if it's not the specific pain point of like, hey, we had some agents leave, if this feels familiar in the way where your recruiting is done from word of mouth, mailers, referrals, and there's no consistent process, so your team isn't having meetings monthly, and you guys haven't had the open conversation of, we want to increase revenue $20,000, $50,000 a month every single month by recruiting 1 or 2 agents. So if this process and these sort of pain points feel uncomfortably familiar to you, you're exactly who I made this video for. I'm going to walk through the math, how it works, and how you can actually implement it yourself inside of your business. By the end of this video, I want there to be a massive mind shift change. So currently, we're in a place where we're like, we hope agents join. I hope agents answer the phone. I hope they have a meeting with me. To, we know exactly how many conversions that we can get every single month, and because of that math, we can now engineer a goal to hit our revenue. The process I'm going to be talking about today, you could build everything yourself. If you want help building the process, you want our team of proven experts to do it for you. At the end of the video, I'll explain to you exactly how it works, what happens, and how to make a meeting with our team. Step one, you need to know your numbers as a brokerage. Most broker owners I talk to can't answer two very basic questions. Okay? Number one, what is one producing agent worth to you on average in profit per year? So one, okay? How much is one, and this is the annual value of an agent worth, okay? How much is one agent worth to you? Now the ballpark of really what we look for is a minimum of 10 to 15K. So what this means is in profit, your brokerage should at minimum be making $10,000 to $15,000 a year from your one producing agent. Your one producing agent is called an ICP. Your ideal candidate, okay? So when you build your marketing and sales process, every single piece of your offer, your marketing, your sales should be talking to this ICP. That way, you can get more of these people that give you this amount of money. Typically, when I talk to real estate teams or brokers, they have a very difficult time answering this question. And I'm sure you're sitting there right now going, hey, I don't know how much that agent's worth to me. I don't even know on average what all the agents are worth to me. That's exactly why you need to know that number, because there's two fundamental numbers you need to know in your business in order to actually scale. Your cost to acquire a customer, okay, through marketing. So say it costs you $500 to acquire an agent. And if that agent is worth $10,000, you're just 20x your money, which is really good. Okay, 20x is massive. A lot of marketers want to be 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1. Anything above 4 to 1 is pretty good. That's scalable. Then you could hire a salesperson to take the calls. You could be within KPI. So that is very important, because without this number, you'll never know how much to spend on marketing or advertising. And again, I'm sure you're still sitting there going, I don't really know how much these are worth, how much these agents are worth, because there's so many variables. There's how much they produce. Maybe you're partnered with a title company. Maybe you own the title company. Maybe you own the loan office. Maybe you collect fees, whatever it might be. That's exactly why you need to know that number. Because if you have a clear grasp on that number and you know how much you're spending on marketing, now you know how much you're spending to get your ideal outcome. This is the only way to solve the current problem that you're in. And you're probably thinking that's annoying or hard, and that's exactly what it's going to take for you to go from inconsistent recruiting and not making as much money as you want to be making to being consistent, having a process, making a bunch of money. So figure this out. Number one, so add up all their annual fees. Add up whatever the average production is. And these could be a blended number. So you could take this, if your production per agent is like some agents literally produce twice a year and some agents produce 150 times a year, have a blended average. On average, how much does every single agent produce? Blend that average. On average, how much does every single agent pay in fees? Blend that together. On average, how much agents funnel business to your title company or your loan officer company or whatever it might be? Create an average. That'll be your blended average. If you're a very targeted brokerage or team and you target agents that have an ICP that you talk to through marketing, so your ideal candidate, say for instance, brokerage A, they're like, hey, we only recruit agents that do 10 to 15 deals. Guess what? All of their marketing is going to be talking to that ideal prospect. So now they know how much each agent is worth, and they know how much they can spend to get an agent. This is the most important math equation that you need to know inside of your brokerage today. In fact, literally, please, for the love of God, pause the video right now and please do this. It will be the most important thing you ever do to grow your business. Now, with this, once you have these two numbers, now you could, like, part two to this is you guys can actually set goals. So typically what I see with the brokerages that we meet with and talk to is they don't even have necessarily revenue goals that they want to hit. They want to have more leverage. So the owners that I talk to, they go, hey man, I want to get out of production, or I want to get to 500 agents or 600 agents, and they hope that the money comes. That's not how you safely scale a business. So when you have these two numbers, you can now set goals for hitting revenue. For instance, if you want to add $20,000 in revenue a month, what this is going to be looked at and what this is referred to is contract revenue. because an agent isn't going to pay you $20,000 right away, right? You're going to have to keep them for 1 year, and they will pay you $20,000 throughout the year because you're going to collect your commissions or your fees or whatever it might be. But if you want to increase $20,000 in revenue a month, that's essentially one agent. If you're targeting the right type of agent through marketing, so you're talking to them in a specific way that actually gets their attention, makes them want to get on a call with you, then you have one agent, and say your conversion rate is 25%. So you do 4 recruiting calls, and your team converts 1 out of every 4. That means you need 4 calls. And if your average cost per booked call through marketing is, let's say, $100, then you're spending $400 to have one agent, okay? Now, that means you're spending $400 on marketing, and you're making $20,000 throughout the year. That is a phenomenal return. That is clearly absurd. That is insane. And if your business isn't functioning like this, of thinking how much money can we put in and how much money are we going to get out based off of the current systems and processes that we have for recruitment and driving revenue, it will be very hard to grow, and you will consistently keep waiting for word of mouth and keep waiting for people to hop on calls with you. I want there to be a very clear process for you so that you can have an ideal prospect, so that you can understand how much each agent is worth, so that you can comfortably feel safe investing in marketing and advertising to actually get those agents in the first place. All right, I had to grab a couple of different markers so that you guys can delineate the steps. So step 1 is know your math, okay? So 1, we'll write in red because the first one was in red. We're gonna do math, okay? You need to know your math. So your cost to acquire and your average value per agent, okay? Cost to acquire, say you spend $500 on marketing, and one agent is worth, on average, $10K, whatever it is, that's an example. That is a scalable acquisition system. Every time you put $500 in, you get $10,000 back. Okay, great. So once you understand your metrics behind your cost to acquire and your average price of an agent, now you're probably thinking, that's great, I know my math, but how do I actually get the agents now? Now the key here is attraction. Okay, you want to attract agents into your brokerage or team. Because if you're soliciting agents, you're doing cold outreach, there's going to be a power differential. So say, for instance, if I called you and I was like, hey, we have this really cool process for recruiting, and I'm doing cold outreach to you, the odds that you actually respect me and will hear me out or even hop on a call about it are very low. But if I was running an advertisement and it got your attention and you clicked on that ad and you went through the funnel and you hopped on a booked call with me, you would be paying attention to me because you booked a call with me. So instead of doing cold outreach, cold is bad, especially in real estate because there's a high sales resistance. So you cannot be going to solo agents, and politically it looks like you're poaching agents. And if you're in a smaller market where you've been operating for 50 years, it's not going to look real good. So you need to attract agents. This is how you do it. And how you do it? You do it through marketing. There's only a couple of different ways to market. Okay? The way that you market is you get people to know who you are. The way to attract agents through marketing is through paid advertising. Okay? So getting your photos, your videos, getting your offer in front of your ICP. ICP is your ideal candidate. That agent that actually does 10K, 15K, and gives that to you. Big money signs. So if you wanted to target beginner agents, your advertisements would talk to them. So it would say, hey, if you're looking to get your first 5 or 10 deals and you want XYZ to get there, make a meeting with my team. Or if you were looking for agents that do 50, 70 sides a year, then your advertising is going to look a little bit different. So your advertising is going to go, hey, if you're an agent in XYZ market, you've been in the business for XYZ for long, and you want to go from 50 to 70 deals with less work and more leverage with the actual right tools, processes, support, and better commissions, make a meeting below and I'll show you exactly how to do that. That is your offer. That's how you talk to them. Once you have your offer, okay, the offer is the words that you use to attract someone, to get someone's attention, all right? That is the purpose of an offer. Now, once you have an offer, then you have marketing material. Once you have so what a marketing material is how you actually see it through an advertisement. So this could be a photo or a video. Once you have that photo and video, then you need to run ads. And this is the purpose of attracting. And when you run ads, you're going to test multiple things. Because the odds that you make one advertisement and it's a home run ad, the very first time you run ads, or you make one ad and you hope it's a home run, it's not very likely. So you're going to have to test hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ads so that you can find the right advertisement that's called a winning ad, which means when you put in $500, you'll get $10,000 back. Cool. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, offer, marketing material, makes sense, running ads, getting my stuff in front of them. The most important part is an application. Application. So once someone sees your ads, think of it like this. Your ideal candidate, think of them right now, okay? Agent that produces 10 deals a year. They're on the couch, they're watching a football game, they're having a glass of wine, they're at dinner. They see your advertisement and they go, that applies to me. I like that. That is something that makes sense to me and I would like to be a part of that in order for me to make more money as a business, right? As an agent. So they see your ad, they click on it. Instead of them clicking that ad and it going right to your calendar, because if that happened, you'd get a lot of junk leads. What happens is you put them through an application. So they're applying. This, again, creates a power differential because they're actively filling out qualification questions. This is done for two main reasons. Reason number one, when you have an agent fill out a qualification, you're allowed to weed out the agents that are not a good fit for you. That way, you could have very efficient calls. Number two, it creates a differential of authority. So when they are actively applying to meet and talk to you to get help, it changes the conversation. Instead of you doing cold calls and saying, hey, come over here, I got some cool stuff, they're filling out an application to even talk to you in the first place. Now you're able to sincerely help them, and there's a massive moral and ethical responsibility here because there will be agents that are meeting with you seeking help, okay? So this is not to be taken lightly because this is their entire career, how they make money and provide for their families. You just happen to know how to do it very well, very efficiently. So when you do have those conversations, don't take it lightly. And we're not forcing people to take bad fits. We're not forcing agents to switch or jump. What you're doing is helping real estate agents with your offering. And if so happens that your offering can help them get to where they want to go with their life and with their business, then obviously consider a switch. So far we have our first 2 points, and I don't know how this is going to look with me standing up here, but point number one is going to be your math. Okay? Point number one is going to be your math. Then point number two is going to be your attraction. So now you know your targets that you want to hit, which is math. Then you know attraction, so how we're actually going to hit it. And then three, you're going to have efficiency. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about how to run an efficient calendar and be within KPI. KPI means key performance indicator. What that means is if you're paying $100 per qualified booked call and you're closing 1 out of 50, you're not going to be within KPI because that means you're going to be spending $5,000 to close one agent. So your efficiency is going to be your unit economics that you're going to look at as a brokerage. So essentially, how much can we pay and how much are we making, right? So like, say you spend $500 on an ad, and that ad gets me 2 meetings. Can we close one of them? If we close one of them, then we spend $500 to make $20,000. The key lever here under efficiency is your calendar, so the people actually taking the calls, okay? So you can have really, really good marketing and get a bunch of agents that want to join your brokerage, but if you are not running an efficient conversation on the call, it's not going to convert, okay? That's just the truth. If you know that one agent's worth $25,000 a year and you want 20 more over the next 12 months, you can essentially reverse engineer what that looks like for your brokerage. So let's do the math right now. So how many booked calls per month you need? So the number of booked calls, the percentage of close, and how much of volume your funnel needs. Okay, so volume. So follow me here. If it costs you $100 cost per booked call, and say you have 25% close rate, 25% close rate. Boom. That means you spend $400 to get one agent. Now what that actually means is if you want 10 agents, you're going to spend $4,000 on advertising. So when push comes to shove, if one agent is worth 10 grand, that means you're paying $4,000, $10,000 times 10, which is $100,000. You're paying $4,000 in advertising to make $100,000, which is phenomenal, which is why we love brokerages and teams, and why you should be running this process, this math, and these unit economics to grow your real estate team and brokerage. You're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. Or I'm very unclear about my numbers. Well, I'll tell you this. Our team will meet with you one-on-one through a 30-minute consultation, completely for free, and you can leave your credit card at home because we will be helping you on our first call. So if you really want a solid understanding of these numbers, what it looks like for you, your team, your brokerage to actually hit revenue goals and get to the place in business where you really want to get to, just click the bio button right underneath this video. I'm sure there's going to be some links. Click on that link. There's going to be a short video that you can watch. Watch that video, fill out an application. If our team feels like you're a good fit for actually installing a recruitment process to actually drive revenue into your business by filling out that application, we will meet with you. We'll talk about what it can look like for you in your market, your price point, to actually hit your goals, okay? We would love to see you inside of those meetings. We want to make a massive impact and help every single person that we possibly can in the real estate industry. Now, before we end everything here, the most important part I save for last, and it's the mental mind frame shift that's going to have to happen as a brokerage or as a team. Real estate's been progressing naturally over the past 20 years, and it's typically been the same thing over the past 20 years for recruiting and driving revenue for teams and brokerages. And what it is you hire a cold caller or your team cold calls to get agents to recruit. That is clearly not working as well as it's worked in the past. And that's because there are more efficient, better ways to attract agents. And I will say this, there are brokerages and teams that are going to evolve with how business is being done in the future. Those agents and teams and brokerages that put together marketing, they have a funnel, they have an application, they have a way to actually attract agents, they're going to crush. They're going to be the brokerages that attract the most agents. The brokerages and teams that are in that weird financial pocket where they're like, it doesn't really make sense to invest in recruiting because we're not making enough in recruiting, I will say this, that is the only reason why you should do it. That's exactly what you would be fixing. And typically that's what we see. Teams, brokerages, and agents that need this the most, they're like, we can't really financially justify a recruiting process. Guys, if you can't, you need to dedicate money towards marketing, because if that shift never happens in your mind, if you continuously go, you know what, I'm just going to start doing cold calls again when it gets slow, it will just look the same every single year. And particularly will look worse in the future when everyone in the industry is taking complete control of this. Only a select few are taking a complete control of this. So if you want it to look different, you have to understand these numbers. You have to understand what it looks like to attract agents into your brokerage. You have to know your efficiency. So the amount of booked calls that you want to be doing, the percentage that you are closing at, and how much you need to be spending in order to actually get to your goals, okay? So the biggest mind shift will be, instead of doing outbound, cold, and soliciting, we need to have a process to attract agents. And if that doesn't happen, if we don't allocate the funds, if we don't learn the skills, and if we don't actually go through the hard times of figuring out our numbers, we won't actually hit that. And again, if you're a real estate team or brokerage and you want this entire process built for you instead of sort of duct taped together yourself or guessing or spending money on advertising and risking it that it might not work, all you have to do is, there's going to be a bio underneath this video. Just click on the link. There's going to be a link to fill out an application, meet with our team. And again, you can leave your credit card at home. We're going to be able to go through the process, what it looks like for you and your business and in your market, so that we can help you out. And hopefully this video provided some clarity on what it actually looks like to run a marketing process and a funnel and make sure that your math makes sense, okay? So take this, either build it yourself or meet with our team, and keep crushing it. Oh, and this is my first video, so it's probably the roughest one I'll ever make, but I hope that this information is valuable enough for you to continue watching. Subscribe below, hit the subscribe button so that I can continue to know that this is going to the right people and the right people enjoy it and are actually taking advantage of this, so I can make more videos like this. So just let me know you're there, and I'll continue to make cool videos just like this so we can help more people and make a big impact.